All right, I press stop and then I press play again or record again because I'm going to drop this major revelation. The major revelation is essentially that the Van Allen belts are heaven, is what I'm going to get to, but I never intended this as my message. So the point of all this is I'm going to explain how I got to this idea that the Van Allen belts are heaven, because it was never my original intention. I started this series, if you go back to number 1, I'm reading out of this book. Out of the Blue, number 0001, I'm reading out of this book, which is Spirit Intercourse by J. Hewitt Mackenzie, and this 1916 edition has a really nice embossed cover. So my original revelation, which motivated me to start this series, was kind of mundane, and I've mentioned it before, and I've never said it was anything extraordinary. It's kind of curious, but not terribly. It's not like a lightning bolt from heaven. The original revelation, which motivated me to start this whole thing, was that I had read a bunch of Swedenborg. I had read a bunch of other things. I went to the University of Washington Comparative Religion program at the Henry M. Jackson School of International Studies. Studied with Eugene Webb, who was a prominent dude in that field, and I discovered Swedenborg during that time, and at the University of Washington, the shelf for Swedenborg, there were like 12 feet of his writings. In addition to his major work, which is called Heaven and Hell, he wrote this other series called The Secrets of Heaven, and it's an extraordinary body of work. And so, and he also, very early in his writings, he makes this point that he doesn't try to defend what he saw, because he says it was self-evident. So when you see it, you know, basically, is what he's saying. So he doesn't spend any time in defending himself. He just describes what he saw at great length, extraordinary length and detail. And so, because in his own words, it is self-evident. And so then later, after that, after being acquainted with the whole body of work of Swedenborg, I was on some online debate page back in the Yahoo Answers days. There used to be this thing called Yahoo Answers, and when I had a job then, and when I would slack at the job, I would go to Yahoo Answers, and there was an atheist versus theist debate page, and we were talking about the near-death experience, and one person said it's all in their head. It's all in your head. Well, to me that was kind of curious, because the it is all in your head suggested to me that the mechanism for perceiving a greater reality is a part of human physiology, right? So we have this closed world that we humans exist in. So we don't exist exactly in the real world. We exist in this world of our own perception. And so to speak Neo-Swedenborgianistically is to say that God does not exist out there. God only exists within human perception, which is how a Neo-Swedenborgian can say that we do not believe in God because we can prove God to exist. Because the only place you see God actually existing is within this world of human perception. So it's sort of like saying the motor vehicle department. If you look through a telescope at Mars, there's no motor vehicle department there. And if you look through a microscope at a cell, there's no motor vehicle department there. So the motor vehicle department does not exist in nature outside of human activity. And the same thing with this whole heaven realm and God. You can say it doesn't exist outside of human activity. It only exists within the human realm. But to say it exists within the human realm is to say it exists. Okay, so that's the original spiel that I had, that I started with. And that's what I've been talking about all this time. And that's kind of curious, kind of interesting. But then, now this is years now. We're on number 532A. Well, you know what? I think I'm going to I'm going to save this big revelation for 532b. So I'll be right back with you in a moment.